Hey there guys, it's Tina and I am back, and thank you so much for joining us today as we play with makeup. I was just in the mood to have some fun with makeup today, and I wanted to do a tutorial get ready with me video featuring some of my new products to my collection. This is the Autumn's Rain palette from Sydney Grace Cosmetics. I love Heather. She is one of two sisters that owns this brand, and they run this all by themselves, and I was so excited to see them release a palette. I already have like a ton of singles from them. I've been supporting this brand for the longest time and I absolutely love their formulation. So I was happy when they came out with a palette. They've done bundles and stuff like that before, but this is their first official palette. And it is gorgeous. We have a full row of mattes at the top, like neutral mattes, and you have these beautiful shimmery tones. Their shimmers are some of the most beautiful metallic shades. You don't have to dampen them to get the intensity that you're looking for, and they blend so beautifully. Their mattes are also some of my favorites. Some of the mattes are a little bit trickier to work with. You do have to do that tap in motion and then blend just to avoid it getting patchy. So I did this look today using mostly the greens in this palette. I also used a couple of the purples, and green seems to be the color of the moment. Like, it's the color that everybody is excited about. So I wanted to go ahead and do my own take on a beautiful green look, and I absolutely love how this turned out. I just had so much fun playing with these products, and I have a couple of new products too that I put to the test. So if you want to see how I got this look, then stay tuned and I will talk to you soon. Hey there guys, so as usual we're starting off with a clean, freshly washed face, and my brows are already filled in, so I'll leave the products listed down below, but you've seen me fill in my brows numerous times before in Get Ready With Me videos, so I'm gonna skip that step this time around and just go straight into my skincare. So I'm starting off with the La Prairie Skin Caviar Essence in Lotion, which is just a lightweight, watery essence that helps to hydrate the skin and prep our skin for skincare and foundation and all that stuff. So I'm gonna apply that and allow it to absorb into my skin while we move on to the next step. It is the winter time, so I need a little bit of hydration, so I'm gonna also go in with a facial moisturizer. This is the Proteiny Polypeptide Cream from Drunk Elephant. It's meant to strengthen and moisturize the skin, so it says it's used for visible and immediate improvement in the appearance of skin's tone, texture, and firmness. So I'm applying this all over my skin. It's a little bit thicker than I personally like. I prefer a gel consistency. That's why I'm applying it right now, so it has enough time to absorb into my skin while we work on the rest of the face. Now I'm going to prep my eyelids using my Smashbox 24-hour Photo Finish Shadow Primer. I have oily lids, so I always go in with an eyeshadow primer first, just to make sure my eyeshadows aren't creasing from the oils in my eyelids. Then I'm gonna go in with an eyeshadow base. I'm gonna use a concealer for this, so I'm using the ColourPop No Filter Concealer. The shade I'm using is Deep Golden 60. I personally don't like this concealer as an actual concealer on the face or under the eyes. I don't like the texture. It dries down to a very matte finish, but it doesn't look that great on the skin. It almost emphasizes texture, and I don't like that at all, but it works really well as an eyeshadow base. So I'm going to apply that all over my lids and blend it out with my Anastasia Beverly Hills number 18 concealer brush. And then I'll go in with a dampened small sponge from e.l.f. and blend it further out. It really gives the eyelids a beautiful like canvas to work on, but the concealer itself like separates in the tube. It gets watery, so you have to kind of mix it around to make sure that the consistency is back to what it's supposed to be. So just be mindful of that. I don't really love this concealer, but it works nicely as a base. Now, as mentioned in the introduction, we are using the Sydney Grace Autumn's Rain palette. They sent this to me, and I wasn't really expecting much just from the color scheme that you saw online, like on Instagram posts. And then I got it in person, and I am in love with the Sydney Grace eyeshadows. I love their formulation, so I didn't expect less from them. And when I swatched this, I was just blown away that they kept the quality consistent with the palette as it is with their single eyeshadow. So you know, a lot of brands, like their eyeshadow singles are perfect, they're awesome, they're amazing, but then when they get to putting them in palettes, somehow the quality falls off. Not the case in this sense, and I'm glad that Sydney Grace decided to release their first palette, and I'm glad that they sent it to me so I could test it out. So we're gonna just dive in and see what we can get out of this. I am actually really excited about this. Is it zoom in time? Yes it is. Hi. Now you already saw that we're going for more of a greeny look, and I'm gonna start out with a little bit of a blend-in shade in the crease. So I'm using Nature's Crown, which is a caramelly brown, but as you apply it over like the concealer, it might deepen a bit, as you see here for me. So it's deepening up just a little bit. I'm using a Sonia Kashuk blending brush. I'm just using back and forth kind of buffing circular motions to apply that color and blend it upwards. As you can see, it's creating like a little bit of a shading effect in that crease, which is really beautiful. Now you could have gone in and set your concealer down with a skin tone shade or a translucent powder. I'm just going straight in with the eyeshadows because this concealer isn't really too tacky. If your concealer or your base is a little tacky, it's a little damp, it can hold on to matte eyeshadows and it will give it like a darkening effect and it will cause it to oxidize. This concealer doesn't do that, so that's why I'm not going in with a different transition shade. I can just start going straight in with the eyeshadows. So I'm blending that up again just to give us just a slight shading and a transition shade in that crease line. The next shade I'm going in with is Majestic Breeze, which is the matte dark teal shade. And I'm picking that up on the brush and then again doing circular motions, but I'm keeping this on the outer lid and outer V area, just to deposit the color. I'm not really blending right now. I'm just applying the color so we can get the color payoff that we're going for. This color is really pigmented and really dark. It will even come off a little bit black, but you still see the green to it. This is so pretty, wow. Now I have had issues where some of these shades, like the matte shades from Sydney Grace, can get a little bit patchy. So what I do is I tap the shade onto my lid and then blend around the edges rather than try to just buff the color because I don't want to get any patchiness. And that's just any eyeshadow that gives you that problem, you can use the same technique. You kind of pat and just buff slightly, but you press the eyeshadow in first, giving it like a stamping motion to really get the color payoff, and then you can feather around the edges so you don't get that patchy look to the eyeshadow. I don't know if you guys realize, but I like to go in with my mattes first to give that dimension and that depth, so the shimmer isn't really interfering with how matte that color is. So that's how I like to do my stuff. I build mattes first and then go in with shimmer. So for our shimmer, we're going to start out with Fallen Splendor, which is that beautiful mossy green shade. And I'm going to use my Rite Aid eyeshadow brush and just apply it right next to the dark green matte that we have. Nothing crazy, just applying it and pressing it and blending it out. Now you can dampen this shade if you want more intensity, but I wanted to show you this color without having to do anything to intensify the shimmer, because it's beautiful on its own. And if you're afraid of color and you don't want the intent, like you're okay, I'm like, I just want a simple green, I don't want anything crazy, you can just go in with it dry and you see the shimmer is still there, the pigmentation is still there, it has a golden hue to it. It's really pretty on its own without having to dampen it. I don't have to dampen it, but I'm gonna do it anyway. And for that, you know my usual guy, it's a Smashbox primer water. So I just dampen my brush first, then get the eyeshadow on the brush and just go over that. And it's gonna intensify the metallic look of this eyeshadow. And you see this eyeshadow didn't even need it, but you see how it's a little bit more metallic than this side? That's why you wanna dampen eyeshadows. It's called a foiling technique. It just makes it a little bit more metallic and shimmery and shiny. So that is gorgeous. I love that so far. We're gonna go back in and do the outer V a little bit after this, but I wanna get the shimmer shades down now. So the next one we're going in with is Wondrous Night, which is that taupey shade. It's more like a champagne taupe. It's a very beautiful color, but next to the green that we placed down, it's gonna give a more golden green look to it. So I'm just applying that to the rest of the lid space. And again, you see, I don't need to dampen this. It just gives that beautiful look without having to do much. I just love the formulation from Sydney Grace, especially. I want to say especially their shimmers, but it's like I also love their mattes. So I just think they got it right, and for such a low price too. Like, they're an indie brand and they still managed to do such a great formula with keeping the price pretty low. Now I'm going in with the blending brush from Sonia Kashuk and I'm just going to go around the top of the eyeshadow, so around the crease, just to blend out the edges. Now the thing about these shimmer shades, I don't really want to bring the shimmer too far up, but I also don't want a harsh line, so I'm just gonna lightly blend around the crease. And now we can go back in with the Majestic Breeze again, that matte teal, and we're gonna now deepen up the outer V again and blend it in with the green. So the green is just gonna kind of pop out a little bit against the taupe, like the champagne taupe that we have on the lid. It's just gonna peep out, and I love that kind of effect. I cleaned off my brush in my washcloth, and I'm just gonna now lightly go around the edges of the teal on the brow bone area, and I'm just doing very light, almost like eraser motions, just little back and forth buffing motions, just to bring that color up and blend it out. And this is gonna help to fade and give a gradient so it doesn't leave behind any harsh lines. And then we can go in with the highlight shade. I'm using Queen of the North, which is a matte ivory shade. And I'm using a MAC 252 for this, and applying it right beneath the brow bone, like the high point of the arch, and blending it out. Now that color can be a little intense, so just apply it and just blend, and that's gonna help to diffuse the color so it doesn't look as intense. Now let's step back a little bit and work on the face. I'm gonna go ahead and use my Dior foundation. It's the Dior Backstage Face and Body Foundation. The shade I use is 4.5W, which is a warm shade, and I'm just using my Marc Jacobs The Face 3 brush. I love this foundation because it is very lightweight. It is what you would expect from a face and body foundation, and it layers up really nicely if you want coverage. But I find that with my skin, I don't need tons of coverage. I just need a foundation that's gonna cover some of my hyperpigmentation, and anywhere that I need more coverage, I will go in with a concealer. But this is so beautiful. It gives a beautiful finish. It doesn't look or feel heavy. In using this foundation, I wanted to check the ingredients, but the ingredients aren't on the Sephora website, which is interesting to me. But there is a very strong smell of alcohol. I think I already threw the box out, but I'm assuming that the ingredient list contains alcohol pretty high up. So if you have an issue with alcohol being in your complexion products, this may not be the one for you. And I don't know, like, I'm not sure how I feel about alcohol being in products. I know they say it's not the best thing for your skin, but I don't know how strongly I feel about that. For under my eyes, I'm going to use my Urban Decay Naked Skin Ultimate Concealer. What is it called? You see, I haven't used this in so long that I forgot the name. It's the Weightless Complete Coverage Concealer. The shade I'm using is Medium Dark Warm. I'm just applying that under my eyes. That is light. That may have been a mistake, but we're going in with my Etherealist Concealer from Kevyn Aucoin anyway. This is the shade EC07. So this is a little bit warmer and a little bit darker. So hopefully that's going to help us out. Also going to apply a little bit of that around my mouth where I have darkness because, child, acting up. And then I will go in with a damp sponge. This is one of my e.l.f. sponges. I love these sponges so much. It's not as springy as the Flower Beauty sponge or even the Beauty Blender, but I just love the texture of this sponge. I love firmer sponges myself. Not like hard sponges, but a firmer texture is my preferred sponge for blending out things on my skin. I don't like a super squishy sponge. I know the Fenty Beauty one is also super squishy. Oh, let me apply a little bit to that old acne scar between my brows. I don't know. People have different preferences for their sponges. So you may not like a stiffer sponge, so you may not like this one, but I certainly love it. So we're just blending that out. That concealer is so, I cannot. I can't get enough of it. Now where I applied the concealer on my outer lid area, I covered up a little bit of that deep teal shade. So I'm just going in with a little bit more and making sure that it's nice and blended and it's more hazy, like more smoked out rather than like a harsh line, because that's not what we're going for. So I'm just applying a little bit, cleaning off my brush and then lightly blending out the edge again so we get that gradient and that blown out effect. Now I'm gonna lightly set under my eyes with my La Prairie translucent powder. This is the cellular treatment powder in translucent 2. Again, using a dampened sponge from e.l.f. This is the medium size one, and I'm just applying that directly under my eyes. I'm not applying too much powder, because what I've been finding is that if you put too much powder, which is just like duh, it's kind of evident anyway, don't use too much powder because it can just end up looking dry and cakey. Especially since under my eyes are a little bit drier, I don't want that to look dry at all. I just want to set the concealer so that it doesn't crease in my little under eye lines. Now I'm gonna do a little bit of light buffing with my Lancome Absolute powder in Absolute Almond and my Japanesque brush. And I'm not really using this powder to set my face. I'm just using it to buff over the skin because I do like the finish of this foundation, and I don't need to mattify it. I don't feel like I need to set it down necessarily. And I've been doing less setting of my face with powder. I feel like I just need a light little dusting just to make sure it's kind of airbrushed, a little bit less sticky. So I just do a light dusting of powder, and this powder is perfect for this because it's so smooth and silky, and it just gives a beautiful look to the skin without getting like dry and like tight and matte. So, and this brush from Japanesque is actually pretty nice as well. Are these still on sale? Probably not, but they're available at Ulta, and you should just wait for a sale. Don't buy this full price. So now let's go ahead and finish up the rest of the eyes. So I'm gonna go in with a purple on the lower lash line. This is Sovereign Rain from the palette, and I'm using a MAC 242 for this and just running it along the lower lash line. This is a beautiful purple, and it's pigmented without me having to do much with it. And purples are notorious for being tricky. They can be a little bit lightly pigmented. They don't build up as well, but this one is so gorgeous. And again, I'm just so impressed with how Sydney Grace is able to create these beautiful shades and these beautiful formulations with no issues. And this color is just blending out easily. I just turned the brush sideways to blend out the edge so it's not harsh. I'm also gonna go in with a little bit of the cranberry red, which is called Amber Jewel, and just apply it to the inner lower lash line and just blend it in with that purple that we already have down. Again, another gorgeous shade. It just looks so pretty and it applies so well. Now there's no light sparkly shade in the palette, so I'm gonna use one of their singles. This is called Hidden Treasure. It's a beautiful icy gold shade. It's so pretty, and I'm just popping that on the inner tear duct using a small shader brush from Sonia Kashuk. Now for the lower lash line, I could just go with a black, but I want to do something interesting, so I'm adding a matte blue. This is from Sephora. It's one of their colorful eyeliners. It's the shade My Boyfriend's Jeans. It's a beautiful, vivid matte blue. This is one of my favorite eyeliner colors of all time. It's so gorgeous. You see how it makes my eyes pop? That's gorgeous. Let's go ahead and do mascara. You know the drill. It's the Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara for the upper lashes. And then the MAC Extended Play Giga Black Lash Mascara for the lower lashes. Now I'm also going in with false lashes. So for this, I'm using the Ardell Faux Mink Wispies. This is the style Demi Wispies, which is my favorite style from them. The Demi Wispies is just a little bit of a flared wing shape. These are so lightweight and they give a beautiful winged shape to the eyes and they add volume. I just love this style so much. Now once I have my lashes on, I'm just going to run over the lash band a little bit to cover up any shimmer and just cover up the glue. So I'm using the Fenty Beauty Fly Liner and just going lightly over that little lash band to cover it up. Alright, let's go ahead and work on the face. So I received these palettes from Becca. This is the new Chloe and Malika BFFs collaboration. So they have two sets of these. These are quads with blush shades, a bronzer shade, and like highlighty shades. This is the deeper one, which is meant to be for Malika. Malika is Chloe's best friend, and she is a woman of color. She is black, so she did this for her line. And this is reminiscent of the Be a Light palettes that I absolutely love. So they're more of a baked mineral formula. It's a little bit different for Becca because they usually do like those highlighters. I really like the Be a Light palette. So I'm using the bronzer from this palette. It's very lightly pigmented. These, don't expect like a punch of color. But I actually prefer that setup for bronzer shades because it gives a little bit of color, but it doesn't like show that it's on my skin. You know what I mean? It's just giving me that color, a little bit of dimension, a little chiseling, but it's not harsh. And I don't like harsh lines on my skin. I don't want things to look like powder. And I really think they killed it with this, where it just gives a very light flush to skin without being overwhelming. Maybe I'm just in the minority with loving these powders. And I love this bronzer shade because it's a little bit deeper. So it gives a little bit of depth and shape to my skin. So these are their radiant blushes. And I'm going to go in with the pinker shade and apply that to the high points of my cheeks. This is a Wet n Wild brush. I don't think that's going to work. With these products, you kind of have to go in with a stiffer, scratchier brush to pick up the product because they're more, I wouldn't say necessarily hard pressed, but they're a little harder to pick up on very light brushes that are very soft. So you need almost like a denser brush. So this is from Smashbox. This is working a lot better. It's a lot more scratchy and like dense, so it picks up the color. This is a beautiful like apricot blush with golden sheen to it. Oh my god, that's gorgeous. Then I'm gonna go in with the highlight shade and pop it on. Oh my god, okay, I love this. This is a Wayne Goss brush, by the way. That, oh, it's not like, it's intense. You can see the glow on my skin, but it's not like overly shimmery or overly intense or foily. Oh, that is pretty. Okay, I really like that. All right, what are we doing for the lips? What are we doing? So I'm also going to use one of the nude lipsticks from the line for this look. Since the eyes are intense, I just want something simple. So this is Cupid's Kiss from the collection. I think this is Malika's shade, or is it Chloe's shade? Because it's the deeper of the nudes. This is a peachy nude shade. It actually is a beautiful nude on my skin tone. And it has decent pigmentation. It's not like full on opacity, but it gives decent coverage from one swipe. To be honest, I wasn't expecting a lot from this lipstick because Becca doesn't do cream tube lipsticks like these. I think they've done a couple, but those were more sheer lip balmy type products, and they've done lip glosses, but they haven't done cream lipsticks. This is actually a very nice, that is nice, right? Am I tripping? That is really pretty. Okay, I'm gonna go in with a little bit of gloss too. So I'm grabbing this one from Fenty Beauty. It's the new shade in Fussy. It's the more pinky tone nude. And I'm just gonna apply that right over the lips to give it more of a glossy, juicy finish. And that is absolutely beautiful. I love the smell of the Fenty Beauty lip glosses. They smell like this sweet candy fragrance, and they're really shiny and shimmery. I mean, look at that, right? All right, so there you have it, guys. I am very happy with this look. I am so happy with the eyeshadows. Those worked out really well. I really like this palette as well from Becca. If you're expecting like intense color payoff pigmentation, this is not for you. Just don't do it to yourself. But if you're into more subtle face powders and face colors, this may be right up your alley. It's actually perfect for me because I like a subtle glow. I don't like anything too intense or crazy. I can see this being like an everyday product that you can use just to run out the door, just to give yourself this blurring effect. I really like that, the lipstick. This is pretty too, like, all right, now it's very rare that I try things on first go and fall in love with everything that I've tried. And I love everything I've tried so far, but here you have it. Hopefully you enjoyed this look as much as I enjoyed putting it together because, wow, I had fun with this. I do love this eyeshadow palette, and I do recommend picking it up it's a gorgeous palette. Again, it's from Sydney Grace Cosmetics. I will leave them linked below. I also have a discount code with them. It's not an affiliate code, it's just a discount code to get 15% off. I will leave that down below as well. I'll probably pop it up here so you can see what it is. You get 15% off your purchase. Now, as usual, I will leave a full list of all the products used and mentioned in this video down below, along with links on where you can pick those up. Those links happen to be affiliate links that I generated through Sephora Ulta, which means I will get a small sales commission if you make a purchase through those links. If you're uncomfortable with that, just shop the way you normally shop, no muss, no fuss, or you can pick these up in store. But if you do use my links to shop, thank you so much, because it does help me to put right back into the channel. And if you aren't already subscribed, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And if you aren't already following me on Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat, go ahead and give me a little follow so you can keep up with me day to day. I don't post as often as other like content creators or beauty influencers, because that I'm just living life, living my best life. I'm not necessarily a daily poster, but if you want to follow me along, feel free. And until my next video, which will be very soon, I'll talk to you. Bye, guys.